Good evening. It's evening where I'm at. I'm going to continue on with this ministry. I call it the ministry of healing young minds and older minds of trauma that happened in their life. I was speaking with my niece a while back, and she and I were talking about the trauma that we had, because there's a lot of adults, and we wonder all day why do they do the things that they do, because they haven't dealt with trauma. I forgive all of my abusers, and there has been at least 4 in my lifetime, starting in the late 60s. But she and I were discussing something that most of this I don't talk to people about. I have expressed with my children, and of course I don't talk with them about it no more, because they're now grown and they don't understand how my family and I, my sisters and brothers and I, experienced such trauma. But anyway, I just want you guys to know that who's to say that the Catholic priests did not molest and harm black children. I was one of them. My niece was another one of them. I can't count for the other children in the neighborhood, but I can tell you under oath that we were molested by Catholic priests. It had to be in I would say by 1968. I remember there was a church across the street, a Catholic church across the street from where we stayed at that time. And this was in California. And I didn't, as a 7-year-old child, I didn't know what molestation was or being touched was, but I can attest to what happened. My niece and all the kids in the neighborhood, I can't tell you if it's one priest or more than one, but I fondly remember, well, not fondly, but I remember one priest. He used to do magic. He used to take coins. Keep in mind, we're young, 1968. He used to take coins and make them come out your ear and then hand it to you. And my niece and I, we were at a standoff as to was it a dime or was it a nickel? However much it was enough to get us ice cream from the ice cream truck. And that was our concern. And he would always, we lived directly across the street from the church, and he would always be out there. And this neighborhood was predominantly black and Hispanic neighborhood that we lived in. And he would come out and talk with all the kids. We didn't know what a priest was. We didn't know what a priest was until, I think I mentioned in the last post that we got our butt whooped because we was hanging out at the Catholic church. But anyway, he would come out and he would always do magic trick, and it looked like he actually pulled the corn out of our ears or out of our thing. And back then, I don't know why our parents dressed us a lot in dresses. We had those little old dresses on, and he would go down our chests and get the corn out of our chest, our little dresses. He would go down between our legs and get the corns out of our legs. And yes, he did touch our little stuff, but we just thought that was a magic trick. I didn't find out until later on in life that he was molesting us. And this is not, it was not an isolated incident. But I also remember that in those days, in our neighborhood, there used to be Black Panthers, real Black Panthers, not this group you got. And they used to troll our streets, I guess to protect the children. And I remember one time we were all across the street at the Catholic church, and the Black Panthers came over there. I can't remember how many it was, but I know it was more than 2 or 3. And they told us, they called us little brothers, little sisters and stuff, go back on y'all side of the street. Never was an explanation given, but they would always tell us to go back on our side of the street. I kept all that stuff under wrap for many, many years until I had therapy. When I had therapy, I started remembering all that stuff. Yeah, he would, we were flat-chested. No pubic hair. None of that type of stuff. But yes, he would make the corn come out of our ears, come out of we had dress on, not like the blouse I got on today, but little dresses on. And he would go down and get a corn out. We thought it was cute and funny because he would give us the coin, and we would buy ice cream from the ice cream truck. So I'll go into details later on with that. But I know some years ago here in California, they were talking about how the Catholic Church was molesting little boys. They also molested little girls too. I'm not saying that I can't speak for no one else, but I know what was done to us. I actually do know what was done to us. My niece is still living, so she can attest to it, to what happened to us. I can't attest, nor can I tell you the rest of the children's name because we were young kids. This is around about 1968. But I'm not going to mention the church either. But I'm just going to mention that it was in California. So I actually know the church. I don't know the name of the church, but I know what it is because we lived across the street, so I know where we live. And I'm quite certain that big old church is probably still standing there. And I'm quite certain that in their archives, in their files, they probably know of this particular pastor, priest, that was doing that. And yeah, he did have a collar on, and he did have the black cape, or I don't know if they call it a gown or cape because I'm not Catholic, but he used to have all that on. And that's what he used to do to us as children. And we were victim of that. And I know years later they had a big thing about it where, this is what they were doing to the little boys and stuff like that. That's why, like I say, I don't know anything about the Catholic religion, but I think they should allow these Catholic priests to get married. Perhaps if they get married, they wouldn't be so eager to want to molest little children. So let me get back. I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. I will talk on it later on. But what I really wanted to come on here and say is that there's a whole lot of petties that live in your area. My daughter showed me on an app how close the nearest petty lived from my house. I was really shocked because they don't give no names, but it do show up on your on the app with a little dot to show you all the people who have been convicted of sexual assault. I can't say if it was just of children, of adult, I don't know, but there is an app out there that can tell you, what's going on. And there's so many adults nowadays that's still suffering from childhood trauma. A lot of adults that never gotten any type of help or therapy for it. And so some of them grow up to be molesters. Some of them grow up to be addicts. That's why when I see these people on the streets, people call them homeless people, on the streets, you don't know their story. You do not know their story. You don't know, because like I say, I didn't grow up with a mother. I told you guys some of how I grew up, and it wasn't good the way I grew up. It wasn't good. It was like me and my sisters and brothers were put in situations to where petties had access to us. That's why I tell you guys all the time, don't be eager. I was on a social media page today, and one of the ladies had posted that her brother had just got out of prison. And some of the women, she has quite a big following. And some of the women, which was most of the women on there, at least 1,000 of them, I want to meet your brother. I want to meet your brother. Text him my number. What's his Facebook page? And yada, yada, yada. Not one person asked the question, what was he in prison for? Oh, they knew, he fine, he fine. Women, we got to do better. You can't just look at a man and say he fine, especially those who have children. Why would you lust after a man because he looked good and you would not want to know him? Give me his, and then the sister posted his Facebook information. I was like, wow. I looked and I seen nothing but women giving their information on her social media page to give to her brother who recently just got out of prison. I don't know what he served time for. I don't know how long he was in prison. But all they seen was a good-looking man in their eyes. No, not past. And I'm not saying, you're not supposed to forgive people, hold their past over. But it's some things you have to be careful of. Because, you got all these shows and things on TV that tell you about it. You meet these crazy people, and next they psychotic. They didn't just become psychotic. They was already psychotic. You just didn't know who they was. You wasn't looking at them. You was looking at what they looked like, their appearance, what they drive, different things like that. And I say all the time, and I not only on YouTube, but this is my ministry. I talk to people all the time, and I say, be careful. You guys just don't know. These men, and I'm probably certain that there's women out there that's petties as well. And I just wasn't molested sexually by one. I was physically and mentally and emotionally abused by one, but I wasn't sexually abused by one. All my sexual abuse came from adult men. And it wasn't a good experience for me. I learned to deal with it, but as I stated to you guys, I've been off social media, YouTube for that matter, for 15 years because I didn't even know how to approach this. You know, I had to pray to God, and it took 15 years for me to tell my story, and I'm gonna keep telling my story. And for those of you that don't want to hear it, exit out, don't listen to it. But for those of you that know people who are going through this, share it with them so that they'll know, because they're not alone. Don't be afraid. I don't care if it's your boyfriend. If you say no to him, your husband, a no is a no. Anything other than that is rape and abuse. No one has the right to touch you. No one has the right to hold nothing over your head. If you don't do this, I won't give you this. If you don't do that, no. They don't have the right to do that. So yeah, abuse come in all kind of ways. And you see so many women out there. And it's have nothing to do with the outfits and things that you wear, because I see that too. The things that you wear. No mean no. Don't touch them. Leave the babies alone. Keep your little young babies off of social media shaking their butts. Build up a whole lot of followers behind watching a child or children shake their butts on social media. Well, I guess the parents say, this is what's paying me. So if my child is going to shake her behind on social media and we get paid, I'm going to do it. That's sad, parents. That is sad. That's scarring the child before they even get of age. You're scarring your kids. Stop doing that. And then what really shocks me is to see so many adults picture and likes. Go ahead on, baby. Shake your butt. 4, 5 years old. And you got adults encouraging a minor to shake her butt on social media. Them are the ones you have to be careful of. Them that is agreeing with that type of stuff for a child or children, anyone under 18, I don't know what your statutory age is in your states, but out here in California it's 18. Keep your hands off of those children because they are kids. And even when they get over 18, don't mean they're old enough and mature enough to understand what's going on. You got manipulators, men that can manipulate these children. As I said the other day, I seen a young girl on social media. Her mom posted that she was 12 years old and had just gave birth to a baby. Again, adults, congratulations. Mom, I'm so proud of my child. I didn't understand it. 12 years old and you just gave birth to a baby and you proud of your child? What happened, Mom? Who do we blame for this? What happened, Dad? Who's at fault? Was it the child? Because apparently somebody wasn't watching her, because she was able to get pregnant. Could have been the first time. Could have been a whole lot of different times of her having sex. But again, some adult in charge was not watching this baby. And she ended up having the baby. I think the mother said she was 12, 7th grade. And she said, well, she's going to continue on with her schooling. You know, I can't tell you. My beliefs on that is a whole different thing that I have y'all. Yeah. So I don't want to stir up that, but there's remedies for stuff like that. But parents, don't be so lackadaisy in allowing your children to be free, to be out there. I had 3 children. I knew where their whereabouts all the time. When they wasn't at school, they were at home. As I stated, I wouldn't allow my kids to spend a night at people's houses. No, and you can't spend a night over here. Their cousins and things were allowed to spend a night over here every now and again. But no, my kids had to be right there where my husband and I knew where they was. That's just how afraid I was. Because keep in mind, my abuse happened when I was a child. I wasn't protected. You know, it was happening in the home I lived in. I wasn't protected. Not at all. So therefore, you know, if I can't see my children, how do I know what's going on over there? And kids is not, they're so, what's the word I'm looking for? They're so ashamed. They don't just come straight out and tell the parents what's going on. They carry that luggage, that junk with them. They may confide in a friend, but they're not confiding in anyone that can put a stop to it, because it goes on all the way up. I know people who have gotten molested all the way up into their teen years, end up pregnant by these molesters. Can you imagine carrying a baby by your abuser and then forced to give birth to it? I know one mother put the baby up for adoption, and then one mother that I know wanted the child to have the baby. And to this day, this young lady strung out on drugs, all kind of stuff. Life just can't seem to, every time she get a little job here and there, she can't seem to walk the straight and narrow, because she has so much substance abuse going on in her life. There's nothing I can do. I've spoken, but what good is that? It's after the fact. But I do know that the parents say, I did the best I can. And I can attest to, you didn't. I was there. You didn't. You did not. You so busy into drugs and bringing men into your house that your child was molested in your own house. But I'm going to stop right here, you guys, because I'm getting too much stuff in my head, and I just want to share everything at one time. And I try to keep these videos real short so that I don't have to spend time, because I could sit there in the bed, honey, and talk to y'all all night long. But I would do that. I would keep expressing to you guys to watch your children. Watch your children. I don't care if they're little boys or girls. Watch your children. Please keep an eye on your babies. Do not expose your children. They didn't have Facebook and social media when my kids was coming up, but you best believe they would never have been posted on Facebook, on this social media. They would have been private. But anyway, I'll talk with you guys later. Have an awesome weekend, and I'll probably see you guys on Sunday. Bye-bye.